Hey guys, it's time for my December fangirl moments of 2013. Once again, if you do not watch a particular thing that I watch, or if you don't want to be spoiled about something, I'm going to leave annotations here at the bottom so you can skip around at your own pleasure. So let's get going. Once Upon a Time, Season 3. Wow. These first 11 episodes have been so fantastic. I've really enjoyed this whole Peter Pan and Neverland story arc. And Peter Pan, even though he's just a horrible bastard in this, I love him. And you guys know that I love my villains, and Peter Pan is no exception. The actor, Robbie Kay, he is just Peter Pan. He looks like an evil version of Peter Pan. His acting was just so fantastic, and I was so ridiculously excited when he flew for the first time. I've also really loved the addition of Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is one of my favorite Disney characters who is not a princess. I really loved how they integrated her story into the plot in regards to her connection with Regina. I guess the one thing I'm upset about is that Peter Pan and Tinkerbell didn't have any sort of interaction, but I'm almost wondering if we might get something like that in the second half of the season, even though Peter Pan is dead. That doesn't rule him out from future flashback episodes, because we still got Captain Hook and Tinkerbell, and even Wendy and Babe, who could possibly have some flashback episodes with him in it. It was kind of nice to get away from Storybrooke for a little while. I do love Storybrooke, but it was just kind of a nice little segue and to kind of take the show somewhere different for the first half of the season. You guys, we got Captain Swan, Captain Hook, and Emma. That was so great. I've been looking forward to that ship since season 2. And I feel so bad for Neil. It's like, I really love Emma and Neil together as well, but I don't know, there's just something about Hook and Emma that I prefer, and I'm curious who they're gonna hook Neil up with, unless they kill Neil. My top ladies for Neil would be Tinkerbell, Belle, now that Rumpel is dead, or even Wendy if something happens and she ages. I really enjoyed all the character arcs this season. I loved Emma's whole revelation that she is a lost girl, and she's always felt like a lost girl because she's been an orphan her entire life. I loved the whole thing with Charming getting poisoned, and him and Hook's bromance. That was one of the big highlights of the season for me, was the Hook and Charming bromance. I loved their witty banter. And of course I always love Snow. They've not really done too much with Snow this first half. I have a feeling there's going to be more Snow in the second half. Regina and Rumpelstiltskin were just as awesome as they always are. I'm very curious where the Regina and Robin Hood thing is going to go. And all of the Henry and Regina moments were just so beautiful this season. One of my particular favorites was Henry at the end telling Regina that she was not a villain, she was his mom. And you guys, I did not see the Rumpelstiltskin death coming at all. That was a total surprise. And is he dead? I honestly do not know if he is dead or not. I almost feel like if he's not dead, that would cheapen the moment. And plus, we had kind of the fake blue fairy death in the previous episode, so that would just kind of be silly to have 2 fake deaths in a row. But now we don't have any Rumbell. How is the story gonna have Beauty and the Beast now? Also love the introduction of Ariel. Ariel is within my top 5 favorite Disney princesses. The actress doing her looked just like Ariel. That red hair was so great. The clothing and the fins were so great. I don't want to talk about Once Upon a Time forever, but like I said, this first half of the season was so brilliant and amazing, and I'm sad to see this first half conclude because I loved Neverland and Peter Pan so much. But I do think the second half is going to be just as amazing now that, you know, everyone's back in the Enchanted Forest and Emma and Henry do not have their memories, but Hook's there apparently to awaken them. So I'm curious where all this is going, and I'm excited to see all the characters back in the Enchanted Forest. And I have a feeling for budgetary purposes that Storybrooke is not totally out of the picture, and Storybrooke is now going to be more of like a flashback part of the episode. I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah, did you guys enjoy Once Upon a Time this season? Let me know in the comments below. I finally got around to seeing The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, you guys, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it a lot more than the first one. I really loved the first one, but I really think this second movie really amped up the game and things moved along and we didn't have all those character introductions like we did in the first one. And Smaug, voiced by the lovely Benedict Cumberbatch, that is how a dragon should be done. I have seen a lot of dragons in movies and television shows, and there's just something that's never quite right, in my opinion, and Smaug was the way a dragon should be done. The CGI was ridiculous. I loved how you could see his facial expressions and the muscles in his body and the scales, just all of this really rich detail to the CG. And his voice, I loved his voice. I kind of forgot for a moment that it was Benedict Cumberbatch doing his voice. That's how good it was. He was so scary. I love how the movie is starting to develop kind of this slow madness that is coming through Thorin. That's a big part of the book, you know, Thorin's obsession with the Arkenstone, and that's a big part of what I'm assuming is going to be happening in this final movie. And I like that you can see that, and I think Richard Armitage is doing a fantastic job of that. There were some really fantastic additions to this movie. Luke Evans as Vard the Bowman, he was so great, I loved him. Just a really epic, heroic character. Lee Pace as the Elf King, whose name I'm going to butcher, Thranduil. Am I saying that right? Thranduil? I'm trying to put like an accent to it. Lee Pace was so freaking awesome. There was just this insanity about him and this menace and just craziness. I loved him. He just had, the way he moved his body and his facial expressions were just really gripping. I believed that he was Legolas's father. Even though both actors are practically the same age, I think. I love the return of Legolas. Legolas is one of my favorite characters in the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. And it was great to see Legolas again. Orlando Bloom. Orlando Bloom, you know, it's been like over 10 years, I think, since Return of the King. But yet Orlando Bloom, he still looks the same. He doesn't look like he's aged a day. It's ridiculous how good looking he still looks. That he still looks like his 25-year-old self. And I loved how they did that with Legolas, that, you know, in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Legolas starts to kind of get out of his elfish ways and kind of starts to develop humanity to him and understand humans and connect with all the other races of Middle-earth. And in this movie, I liked how you can see the mechanical nature of his being and his more elfish qualities. He was kind of villainous in a way, which I loved. On to Tauriel, played by Evangeline Lilly. I was most excited to see her since there's no women in these movies, and I really loved Tauriel. She was such a kick-ass character. Just so great with the bow and arrow. Loved it. And I was really surprised that the whole romance thing was not between her and Legolas like they showed in the trailers, but between her and Killy, played by sexy Aidan Turner. And I've seen a lot of reviews for The Hobbit, and a lot of people really disliked the Tauriel and Killy romance, but it honestly didn't bother me. I found it very sweet and cute. I don't know if my love of their relationship has to do with the fact that I love both actors so much. I've been a fan of Evangeline Lilly since Lost, and I've been a fan of Aidan Turner since Being Human, so that might have something to do with why the pairing kind of didn't bother me, because I was just excited to see those two actors interact with each other, if that makes any sort of sense. The CGI was kind of weird in this installment. There's been a lot of jokes just all over the internet that Peter Jackson and his crew ran out of their budget because they spent all the money on making Smaug so awesome, and that's probably true, because I never saw a single moment where Smaug looked fake. Whereas pretty much the rest of the entire movie, there was a lot of stuff that I was like, oh, the CG is so bad. A lot of the action sequences, some of the action sequences were kind of blurry and hard to see, and a lot of times when Tariel and Legolas were fighting, it obviously looked like CG versions of themselves rather than the actors, which was kind of bad. So yeah, I don't know what was up with the CG this time around. It must have been Smaug. So have you guys seen The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug, and are you looking forward to the third movie? I certainly am. Let me know in the comments below. Moving on to Doctor Who. I meant to talk about the 50th anniversary since that aired in November, but I decided to go ahead and just add that along with the Christmas special, aka Matt Smith's departure. You guys, I have a confession to make. I have not really been enjoying Doctor Who since season 5, Matt Smith's first season. I loved Matt Smith's first season. It was just so brilliant, and I loved practically every single episode, and I can watch all those episodes on repeat. But ever since season 5, it just feels like the show has just been kind of going a bit downhill for me personally, and I just don't understand the stories at all. They're just too complicated and they go over my head. And there's only kind of a rare episode here and there throughout 6 and 7 that I even enjoyed. Like The Doctor's Wife, for instance, that's one of my favorites. I really enjoyed The Nightmare in Silver. I really enjoyed The Girl Who Waited. And I really loved Jenna Louise Coleman's first episode in Asylum of the Daleks, and then also in the Christmas episode where she appeared, The Snowmen. But other than that, other than about maybe 6 or 7 episodes, I've not really been enjoying Doctor Who that much. Like I said, it's the writing that I'm having a lot of problems with, just it's too complicated. And so I was really looking forward to the 50th anniversary, and though I did overall enjoy the 50th anniversary, once again, it was kind of convoluted in my opinion. About the only thing about the 50th that I enjoyed was the interactions between Matt Smith, David Tennant, and John Hurt. Those three made the entire episode worthwhile because I didn't understand the rest of it. David Tennant is my Doctor, and so it was so fun to see him again and to see him interact with Matt Smith. They just had such comedic timing with each other. Their humor with each other was great, and then when they had the more dramatic scenes, those were so brilliant. And I didn't really understand the whole thing with Rose. There wasn't even Rose. I was so disappointed that, you know, it wasn't our Rose, it was some Bad Wolf version of Rose, I guess. A computer? I don't know. Because I was really looking forward to seeing Rose and Clara interact. I thought that would have been great. And you know, like back in season 2 with David Tennant when Rose and Sarah Jane interacted, I would have really loved to have seen that between Clara and Rose. So moving on from the 50th, I was just as disappointed with the Christmas special. The Time of the Doctor, I believe is what it was called. I'm getting all of these episodes kind of confused with their titles. A lot of these ending episodes have had similar titles. The Christmas special was Matt Smith's last episode, and his regeneration, obviously, into the 12th Doctor, who will be played by Peter Capaldi. The Christmas special was just, once again, like the 50th, confusing and convoluted, and I didn't understand it. Am I just stupid? I don't know. The town called Christmas, I didn't get it. I didn't get why 11 aged. I didn't really get the entire, all the monsters were together. I didn't get it. The only moment I even teared up at was when Amy comes back as, like, I guess a hologram of some sort, or whatever she was, and she says Raggedy Man, I think she says good night. That made me tear up. And then I just teared up for a couple seconds, and then all of a sudden there's Peter Capaldi as Dr. 12. It happened so quickly, literally, you blink and you miss it. You didn't get that fantastic regeneration like we did back with 10 to 11. And that's what I was expecting. I was expecting something pretty similar from 11 to 12. I'm just so upset that I wasn't more emotional. I mean, I didn't feel anything. Like I said, the Amy part was about it for me. Whereas with David Tennant's final episode, I was crying non-stop, and I had so many tissues for about 15 minutes straight. And I'm so upset that I didn't feel that with Matt Smith's departure. I just don't know what it is about Doctor Who lately. I've never had these issues with Doctor Who in the past. I loved Christopher Eccleston's season so much. I loved all of David Tennant's seasons, and never once was I confused or bored. And even if I was confused in any particular episode, thing is, after multiple viewings, I got it. So how have you guys been feeling about Doctor Who lately? Is it just me? Am I an idiot or what? I know I'm not the only one, because I've been on lots of forums and people have the exact same opinions as me. Now, don't think that I will stop watching Doctor Who. I'm not stopping watching Doctor Who. I very much am going to continue. I'm really excited to see Peter Capaldi. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I'm excited to see his interactions with Clara. And I think the show just really needs a new, fresh start. And hopefully the writing will improve. And that's the big thing. It's never the acting that's the problem. It is the writing. I have never shared with you guys any sort of like food products. So today I'm going to tell you about Frappuccinos. I freaking love Frappuccinos, you guys. I've been drinking Starbucks Frappuccinos for quite a few years now, but recently I've been finding like these local chains in my state, and I'm coming to discover that I hate Starbucks now. Starbucks just does not have all of these really great flavors, and their Frappuccinos are so coffee-based, and I don't really like that. So I've been discovering all these local chains that have these really rich flavors, and you don't taste the coffee too much. There's this really great place that I found called Viva the Bean, and the new Frappuccino that I am absolutely obsessed with at the moment is a mocha marshmallow Frappuccino. That may sound a little strange and nasty, but it's not. I love it so much. This place has so many flavors of Frappuccinos, and they also have some really great smoothies that I'm excited to try over the summer. I really want to get one called a chocolate banana with walnut. That sounds so good. I'm getting kind of hungry thinking about it right now. So have you guys discovered any like cool local chains in your area? Is Starbucks boring you? And what's the weirdest flavor that you've had at a coffee shop? So I'm going to move on to this last part of the video, and it's going to be some of the Christmas items I got. I got tons of new pops, you guys. You shouldn't be too surprised by that. I got some nice Hobbit ones. Got Thorin Oakenshield. I'm just so thrilled to see Richard Armitage as a pop. Legolas. I love his extremely blue eyes. Little Bilbo. Everyone say aww. And I have not collected any Walking Dead pops yet, but I've always really wanted the Governor. I freaking love this pop because of the eye patch. I don't know why. He looks so adorable. And yes, I am a fan of the Governor, even though he is a freaking bastard. There's no denying that, but once again, I love villains. And you guys are gonna freak when you see these supernatural ones. Sam and Dean! And I about died when I saw Castiel. Ooh, and you know what that means, Supernatural shipper fans? Dean and Castiel. And if you were part of my giveaway, you guys know that I sent out those Disney collector cards which had the princesses and their prince on them. And Disney over the summer just had this big huge thing with these really nice designer things with the princes and their princesses. And one of the big things that I loved was these collectible dolls. So I about freaked when I opened my Christmas present and I got Flynn and Rapunzel. Isn't this just so beautiful? Here's Rapunzel and she's holding the little lantern. And then the only bad thing about these collectibles is you see all that plastic inside there holding everything up. That's the only thing I hate. But here's her dress. Oh goodness, I love her dress. And look at this base. This base is so beautiful. Love her dress. Oh goodness. And then there's Flynn. Oh, so cute. I love it. So that's it for this month's Fangirl Moments. Sorry this is so extremely long. I had a lot I wanted to get through this month. in the comments below, please share with me anything that you've been excited for in December. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!